Think about the last time you were around someone you really wanted to impress. Maybe it was your boss, maybe it was someone you were attracted to, maybe it was a group of people who just seemed cooler, smarter, or more put together than you. And the moment you walked into that situation, something changed inside you. Your voice got a little tighter, your thoughts came slower. You started choosing your words too carefully, or not carefully enough. You said something and immediately replayed it in your head, wondering how it landed. You laughed at something and then wondered if the laugh was too much. And somewhere in the middle of all of it, you realized, I am performing right now, and I hate it. This is one of the most universal human experiences that almost nobody talks about honestly, not just shy people. Not just introverts, everyone, at some level, gets nervous around people they want to impress. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly why it happens, why everything you've been told to do about it is probably making it worse, and what actually works to fix it for good. Let's start with why this happens in the first place, because the reason is more fascinating than most people realize. When you're around someone you want to impress, your brain does something very specific. It upgrades the situation. It takes what is, in reality, just a conversation, just two humans standing next to each other, and it relabels it as a high-stakes evaluation. Your brain is essentially telling you, this person's opinion of you matters, and if this goes wrong, something important is at risk. Now, where does this come from? Because it's not random, it goes back much further than you think. Thousands of years ago, humans survived in tribes. And in those tribes, social approval wasn't just nice to have, it was survival. Getting rejected from the group meant being alone in the wild. Being alone meant death. So your brain evolved to treat social rejection as a genuine threat to your life. The same system that fires when you see a predator fires when you think someone might judge you negatively. This is why nervousness around people you want to impress doesn't feel logical, because it isn't. It's an ancient survival response getting triggered by a modern social situation. Your body is flooding you with stress hormones over a conversation because, at some primal level, it believes your survival depends on how this goes. Understanding this is already powerful, because the nervousness is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It's a sign that your brain cares about connection. It's actually a feature, just one that's miscalibrated for the world we live in today. But here's where it gets interesting, and this is the part most people miss. The nervousness itself is not the real problem. The real problem is what the nervousness makes you do. And what it makes most people do is try too hard. When we're nervous around someone we want to impress, we shift into performance mode. We stop being ourselves and start being a version of ourselves we think they want to see. We agree with things we don't fully agree with. We laugh louder than we normally would. We bring up our accomplishments in slightly unnatural ways. We talk more than we need to, or we go completely quiet trying to calculate every word before it comes out. And here's the painful irony. All of that trying, all of that performing, all of that effort to come across as impressive, it does the exact opposite. It makes you less impressive, not more. There's a concept in psychology called evaluation apprehension. It basically says that the more we focus on being evaluated, the more our performance degrades. Musicians play worse when they overthink technique. Athletes choke under pressure for the same reason. And you become less interesting, less natural, and less magnetic the moment you make the interaction about getting their approval. The people who genuinely impress others are almost never trying to impress them. They're just present. They're engaged. They're interested. And that ease, that lack of desperation for approval, is what actually draws people in. So the first and most important shift you need to make is this. Stop going into these interactions asking, how do I make them like me? And start going in asking, do I actually like them? This sounds small. It's not. It completely changes the dynamic in your brain. When you're trying to make someone like you put them in the position of judge and yourself in the position of auditioner. You're asking for a verdict. And that power imbalance is exactly what creates the nervous energy. But when you walk in thinking, let me find out who this person actually is, let me decide if I enjoy their company, now you're equal. You're not auditioning, you're just having a conversation between two people who are both figuring each other out. That shift alone will visibly change how you carry yourself. The second thing is to stop treating impressiveness as something you perform and start treating it as something you reveal. The most impressive version of you is not a crafted version. It's not the version that agrees with everything, or name drops, or tries to fill every silence with something smart. The most impressive version of you is the version that's genuinely comfortable being itself. That's rare. And rare things are always interesting. People are not actually that impressed by perfection. What pulls people in is specificity, realness, and a person who doesn't seem to need anything from them. Those three things communicate confidence more than any carefully chosen word or rehearsed story ever could. The third shift is about what you tell yourself before you walk into these situations. Most people, consciously or unconsciously, tell themselves some version of, "I need this to go well." That framing puts your emotional well-being in the hands of another person before the conversation even starts. You've already made yourself dependent on their reaction. Try replacing it with this: "Whatever happens here, I'm okay." Not because you don't care, but because you've decided in advance that one interaction does not define you. One conversation does not determine your worth. And the person you're about to talk to, no matter how successful, how attractive, or how impressive they seem, they are a human being with insecurities, bad days, fears, and moments where they feel exactly like you feel right now. Nobody walks through life immune to self-doubt. The person who intimidates you most has someone in their life who intimidates them. This is not just a comforting thought, it's reality. And keeping it in mind levels the playing field in your head, which is the only place the game is actually being played. Here's the last thing, and I want you to really sit with this. Nervousness around people you want to impress comes from placing their opinion above your own sense of self. It's basically saying, your view of me matters more than my view of myself. And as long as that equation is true in your mind, you will always feel small around people who seem bigger. The work isn't to stop caring what people think entirely. That's not realistic, and honestly, a person who truly doesn't care what anyone thinks is not someone you want to be around. The work is to care about what you think of yourself first, and let their opinion be interesting data rather than a final verdict. When you walk into a room with that foundation, something changes, not just in how others see you, in how you see yourself. The nervousness doesn't disappear completely, but it stops running the show. It becomes background noise instead of the main event. And you get to be present. You get to actually be there, in the conversation, in the moment, in your own body, instead of watching yourself from a distance, hoping you don't mess it up. That's how you stop being nervous around people you want to impress. Not by becoming someone different, by finally being willing to show up as the person you already are. If this made you think, drop a comment below. Who in your life makes you most nervous and why? And if you're not subscribed yet, you're missing out. New video every single week. I'll see you in the next one.